From the dawn of man, indigenous people from every corner of the globe have spoken of things that have now been discounted as myth or legend. Things they saw, lived alongside by, were looked upon as deities or worshipped by gods. Things that present-day man refer to as entities, spirits, demons, cryptid creatures, extraterrestrials, and much more. But sadly, modern man, science and society has discounted what our ancestors spoke of as legend and myths. But there are those of us that know what the ancient ones spoke of is the truth. Those of us who are obsessed with finding out the truth. This search for answers brings us into the world of the unknown and unexplained. It brings us on the trail, in search of living legends. Please join us tonight in another part of our journey to find these answers and bring the truth out into the light. Welcome and thank you for listening.
Hey, welcome everyone to another edition of On the Trail in Search of Living Legends. I'm your host, Jeremiah. I am here with my co-host, Nick. We've got a great show planned for you tonight. Lovely lady that I am proud to call a friend. Very, very sweet lady. She knows her stuff. So, Nick, why don't you tell everybody what we've got going on tonight? Oh, sorry, Nick, I forgot. Today's 6/29/25. It is 8:05 p.m.
Oh, we don't need that much detail, but
this is episode 15 of season 7. So
yeah,
remembered it to the last minute. So what do we got going on, Nick?
it may be 8:05 p.m. here, but Barb, I think it's what?
I was going to say it's 5:05 p.m. here.
Yeah, because you're over there. But
I forgot about that.
That's a great segue into my introduction to Barb Hartman. Barb now. Well, she was born and raised in Pennsylvania, but now she lives in Washington State, so she's 3 hours behind us.
Yeah.
But in Pennsylvania, she said she grew up having a fascination with the subject of Bigfoot and Sasquatch because she used to watch TV shows and documentaries with her dad. So that must have just juiced it up for her, and she was just always into that. Something that's helped her over the years is that she was an insurance claims investigator. And I mean, that's minute details that she has to pay attention to. And as all of us researchers know and field investigators know, any little piece of evidence is part of the puzzle. And you're always looking for that. But anyway, Barb moved out to Washington State, and what you bought a waterfront property, and they started getting. I guess that was what 2018, Barb.
Yeah. Well, we moved in the fall of 2017, and the first evidence that we noticed was April of 2018, like April 1st.
18-inch footprints. Nice.
Yes. Yes. And my husband actually found them too. And he's more, like I'd say more of a skeptic, although we were talking about it today, and he said, at this point, I'd almost believe anything, Barb, because of just what's happened. And so he actually then said, okay, here's these prints. I'm going to have to tell her. My husband, he was a hunter, grew up on a farm. So, trapped and all that. So he's kind of used to prints. And he said, I just kept looking at those, and nothing else. It looked like a bare human footprint, but it was so big.
Yeah.
And then it's April 1st, so nobody's going to be walking around in their bare feet that big.
Right. Right.
So your first sighting, or I don't know what you want to call it, with a Sasquatch, Bigfoot, was in Pennsylvania?
No, I did not see any. I didn't see any in Pennsylvania. Yeah, no.
So it was in Washington State.
All Washington State. Yeah, I never had anything. Never had anything. There were reports around me. I lived in Columbia County, and yeah, so there were reports, and I always thought it was cool and trying to keep up on them. But that was kind of before the internet. You just had to go by word of mouth or something in the newspaper or something that told you about,
Yeah. Yeah. So how is you? We talked last night for a little bit, and you said that it was pretty active out there in Washington.
Yes. Yeah, and actually, so we bought that house, and I'm not at that house right now. It's our like, the house we live in. But we also bought a short-term rental property 2 months ago, and we're out on the Olympic Peninsula, which is
Oh, wow.
extremely active.
Yeah.
And we line that print that I sent you.
Yeah.
That's along a trail that borders DNR land. There's about, I think, like 500 acres of DNR land that you're not allowed
Okay.
on,
Oh,
obviously, but I can see it. I can look through and see it. And it's just so interesting to me. And yeah, so I've heard I haven't recorded any audio. I had I put my handheld out a few nights, but I haven't had a chance to listen to it. But I've heard it, but I haven't recorded anything out here yet. Feel like I got some on camera, but who knows?
Yeah.
But our house back in it's about 70 miles as the crow flies from here, the one on the Puget Sound, and it's just constantly active. As a matter of fact, my son-in-law called me this afternoon, and he said, because he and my daughter live there, and they're there, and he said, did you hear anything on the cameras or see anything on the cameras last night? Because we have a perimeter of security cameras around that go all, in every entry point. And I said, no, I didn't see anything. And many times I'll stay up from maybe about midnight till about 4 a.m. as much as I can and listen in like live to the cameras, because that's when I've got the best like audio captures. But he said, so my daughter's on the top floor, which is the main living floor, and then he was down on the lower level, and there where they live. And he said he could hear like it sounded like walking around on the deck, because we have 2 levels of decks. And he said, I couldn't tell if it was the top deck or the bottom deck, which was the bottom deck would have been right outside where he was. And then he said, and then I was hearing this like high pitched talking. So he's like, oh my gosh, I wonder if anybody's like, is somebody actually out there? So he got his gun and was and was walking around. My daughter was sleeping. She said, I wake up to my husband like, what are you doing? So there was nothing on the cameras, and I feel like he said it sounded like high pitched talking. And I'm like, well, sometimes that's what I hear, the juveniles. I don't know. I assume.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
It's
always
pretty
something
wild
else.
to hear that. And it's very, I've gotten recordings of that too, and it blows my mind every time I listen to it.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yep.
For anyone to think that's not a language, I think they're pretty ignorant.
Definitely a language going on. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I have an audio recording that, and you can hear it, but unfortunately it's not, it's not that loud. It's not that crisp, but you can hear like humming and like a tune.
Yeah.
And I was like,
you sent me last night?
I don't know if I did. I don't know if I don't think that one. Yeah, I didn't, because that one's not, I have that on my YouTube channel, but it's like, again, you'd have to listen to it, with headphones on or earbuds or something.
Right.
You can definitely hear it, but it's, it's not, and I've amplified it as much as I can without, like messing with the sound. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Barb, several years ago, I was up in Washington State with a friend of mine who wanted to go bear hunting. I think it was Wallapak or something like that.
Okay.
Do you know that area by any chance?
Let me see. No, but there's
Wallapak Hills.
Yes, and I don't know where that is. I can check on my map and see where. And
it's Willapa with WILAPA Hills. It's near the Olympic.
Oh, that's
Olympic Peninsula West area.
Yep, it's 43 miles from where I'm at right now.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah,
you were close to where you're at. But anyway, what I wanted to tell you was, we were out there for a whole day, didn't find anything. I mean, my buddy had the licenses and everything, and we're going around. And he goes, there's there's been Bigfoot sightings around here, and there's knocks, and there was trees upended and everything. Well,
Yeah.
I'll be darned, but after he said that, about 10 minutes later, we're hearing tree knocks, and it got closer. That's when we were in Willapa. I can't pronounce it. Willapa Hills. Anyway, and it's getting closer to
Wow.
us and closer. And I'm going, oh, this is nice. I'll get to see one. I've not yet had the pleasure of seeing one.
Mhm.
Hopefully, when
But
Jay gets
nothing.
to North Carolina, we'll go out and I'll be able to see one with him.
We'll go to my
Yeah.
old hot spot. We'll see one.
Oh man, I'll tell you. But that was fun.
So
I
you
mean,
never
it's getting closer and closer.
ended up, you never saw anything that night though. Is that what?
No, I didn't. We didn't see anything. I mean, we were out
Oh
there the
my
whole day
gosh.
and
Hmm.
and part of the night and nothing. But I mean, it was getting closer and closer, and all of a sudden it stopped, and dead
Wow.
silence, nothing. And my
Hmm.
buddy is cursing his head off. He's saying, "Darn it! Now they're scaring the bears away."
Oh yeah, that's right. Forget
I
it.
don't know what can scare an 8-foot grizzly, but
Yeah,
Well. Hmm.
maybe a 12-foot Sasquatch. Maybe that would
Yeah.
scare
exactly.
them away.
Right. Right.
They're not
Yeah.
Yeah,
afraid of too much.
Mm-mm.
no, no.
No.
Now, Barb, may I
So
ask you a
you were
question?
hunting. I'm sorry. You were hunting
That's
grizzly. Is that
okay.
what you were hunting?
He was hunting bear. I was his
Okay.
backup, to
Okay.
make sure
Yeah.
he didn't get hurt.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I don't really hunt. What I do is I go out there and keep my buddy, company
Hmm.
and make sure he's safe.
Right. Yep.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah.
Barb, have you had any other types of phenomenon go on any of these properties? As far as
Um,
anything in the sky, orbs, dogmen, anything like?
Orbs at our house, on the Puget Sound.
Yeah,
I have never seen them with my naked eye, but they're on the camera, on the security cameras, which are IR and night vision. And I've seen them in like if I'm taking video at night and I've seen them like fly by me, and it's
yeah,
something like they're so bright that,
yes,
right? Like it's not
yeah,
definitely not a bug. Like I know, what a bug looks
yeah,
like. And
yeah,
yeah, it's just weird, really, really weird. Yeah.
yeah.
So, one thing that was, and I'm trying to think, I think I do have this on my YouTube. I try to put like all the stuff that's decent. I try to put as much of it on there. But,
Yeah,
so this one night, so we live in the Puget Sound, gorgeous, just such a gorgeous view. It's right there. And one night it was a full moon, but it was cloudy. And so there were, like pierces of moonlight, were like kind of like beaming down on the water. And I'm like, this is beautiful. I want to take some photos. So I'm trying to get my camera. It's in like the automatic. It should go into night mode, and it should be able to do
yep.
it fine.
Right.
And yeah, it wouldn't do it. And then I got like 2 orbs fly by, and I'm like, geez. I'm like, okay, guys, knock it off to my Sasquatch clan, because I always talk to them. I'm like, knock it off, just whatever. Then kept taking pictures, and so I'm taking the same view. I did not move the camera. There were about 5 pictures of a orb that was just there. It went from white to like an orange red, almost looked like a lunar eclipse. You know how the moon gets very
Oh,
red?
wow.
It looked
Yeah.
like that. Then it goes to 2 dots of I mean, it looks like eyes, like 2 like dots of
I've
looks like
had the
eyes.
same thing happen where the orb splits up and it looks like eyes. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yep.
so
Big,
cool. I
big
never.
yellow orb split into 2 different eyes. Yeah.
Oh,
I
Mhm.
can't explain
wow.
it, but
Wow, that's
yeah,
yeah.
had the same thing happen. Weird.
Wow.
Yep. It's
I'm wondering
It's so
interesting.
whether
great
there's
when
I'm
I'm
wondering
sorry, go
whether there's
ahead.
a connection between them and the Sasquatch.
Oh, I
Yeah,
think so.
I I don't know.
Yeah, we
I
just don't
honestly
know.
don't know.
Yeah.
Barb, I've said it for years. I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible.
Yes.
They could be the aliens. They could be
Yeah.
the soldiers that they put down on the ground to go check us out.
Hmm.
Maybe they did this a long time ago and they're still here and saying, "When are you going to take us home?"
Why to
Anything.
leave it there? Yeah, you're
Or
right.
they may not be connected at all, and maybe Sasquatch does dimension hopping, hopping and
Yeah,
through portals. We don't
Yeah.
know. That's why
right.
we're out there field investigating and doing our research and talking to people like yourself, if we could just get the little teeniest bit of evidence,
yeah.
it might
But
just break it.
they love to hide it from us stuff too. We know
Oh
that.
my God.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
they sure do.
so many people I've spoken to say, what's going on? I mean, I saw the Sasquatch and suddenly disappeared, just turned sideways and disappeared. All right, where'd he
Wow.
go?
Mm-hmm.
Where did he go? I mean,
Yeah.
did he go to another dimension? Did he step through a portal right there? We had one guest, right, Jay, who said that there was a large tree that he went
Oh,
into, and it was like a portal.
Tilly.
Wow.
Luckily, he got
Wow.
back out.
Yeah. Yeah.
My
Oh,
gosh,
it's John. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
That's right.
Wow.
I
Yep.
mean,
Wow.
His friends told him he was gone. Like he felt he was only gone a couple of minutes, and they said, "Dude, where the hell were you? We were about to go
Oh
get your
my.
dad. You were gone 40 minutes." And he
Oh
said
my gosh.
he could hear people. He could hear what sounded like screams
Mhm.
coming from this hole in the ground.
Oh,
Yeah,
whoa. That's
that's
bizarre.
creepy. Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so much strange
yeah.
things out there, and
Yeah, I've never had I've recorded them audio and video, and on the video sometimes they are so close to me that I'm like, what in the world? How did I not see that?
Yeah.
And that's really like, ugh. But it's to the point I've really worked on trying to have a mutual respectful relationship with the ones at home.
Mm.
And um, and I just feel like that has been a benefit. I've never had any sort of aggression. There's never been any damage. Um, it just really, and it's to the point now where if I don't have, my camera or my phone, and I'll say, "Hey, here I come," and just look on into like this very active area, and they're just sitting around like they don't even like look at me. They're just like, yeah,
Oh,
whatever.
wow.
And they don't, I've never seen one disappear. Now what there will be, I think like the larger, I've seen maybe one or two larger ones so that's what I'm talking about. That's about like maybe 50, 60 yards away. So it's not like crystal clear. Okay. But I mean, I can
Sure.
see that.
Yeah.
And plus
Yeah.
it's like a forest that there's nobody should be in there, and they're
Right.
obviously not humans. I can see behind them, but this would just be a silhouette. Like the bigger ones, maybe like like peeking at me. But yeah, they act like I'm not even. They're like whatever, not even.
Wow. That's wild.
It's wild. It's wild.
How many are there in
Now
the group? How many
suppose supposedly now this is from people that say that they can read the area, whatever,
Yeah.
or some people claim that they can like communicate, or I don't know, whatever you would say.
Yeah.
And it's been like there's supposedly two clans around me, and the main one at the last count had like 17 members. But then
Wow,
there's
that's
another
good.
one that has 22 members that
Wow.
some of the like families I mean some of the they're like related to each other.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah, and so what's cool is a neighbor of mine, Kevin Royce, he lives about 5 miles away. Uh, and so when I say neighbor, and a lot of the things that when I got to know him and we're comparing notes, it's like, oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
think that other, clan is over by him, because there's definitely a lot of things that happen. Now, he's had them, like he can hear them in his house. He's had evidence of them in his house. I'm
No.
like, absolutely not. That's what I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, no, I'm not going to come in your because I at this point
Right.
I don't go too far in. I can see them, but I'm not going to go too far in because I know they have kids there. And I'll say, like, if I'm allowed to come in, just if you want to give me a sign, whatever, or mostly it's the feeling, because you get to a certain point and it's like, ooh, I feel like no, don't go any further
Yeah.
beyond this.
Yeah.
So that's and that's fine. Maybe if there's some day when they're not there, I'll have the opportunity. But Yeah, because I don't want them in my house. So
No, I don't either. No
no,
way.
no.
You don't feed them, do you? I hope not.
No, no. I gift, but it's like it's more for in terms of research, first of all,
Right.
and
Right.
it's more like trinket things, but mine don't, and this is Kevin's too. They don't they don't like do a lot of that back and forth. I think that they leave me glyphs, and I guess maybe that's like, they're gifting back. I've left out like a sparkly hair bow and a little wooden doll. One of those giggle balls like for dogs that you push around, and
Yep.
it makes like a
Yeah.
giggling sound. That disappeared finally. But the hair bow and the doll still they've been there for like 2 years. Because I have
Yeah.
I say, gifting area. They like organic Granny Smith apples. They don't like any other apples. They've never taken them. And it's funny because like one time I put out like 18 apples, and literally half of the apples were gone. And they say that that's what they do. I don't know, but that's what my research found. They took half of what I put out. Then I came out and I'm like, this is about 2 days later. And I said, hey, you guys can have the rest of these. And so then they were gone. I think I went out, 2 days, like after 3 days after that. And I
Yeah.
put them up in like a crook of a tree. So, okay, is it possible that there's other wildlife? Sure. But,
Yeah.
and it's weird, with that half were missing. That was just that was bizarre.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. The coolest thing though that happened as far as that is I got like, loaves of bread from the grocery store, and it'll be like buy one, get one free, like Italian bread or French bread or
Yep.
whatever, and got them. And so it's like, oh, this one, no way we're going to eat this. This second one, I'm like, I think I'm going to put it over in the area and see what happens. So I just rolled it up, rolled the bag up, stuck it up in the crook of the tree. I went back the next day, I kind of just peeked at it. It was still there. And then I was like, well, I don't know, maybe they're not, maybe. So I think 2 or 3 days later, because I tried to do like 2 or 3 days. Not, I don't want to be watching, like micromanaging, like watching,
Yeah.
because I feel like I'm not going to get, I don't know. Go back. Yeah. Like I said, 2 or 3 days later and it's gone. Everything's gone. The bag, the bread, everything. But again, that could have been anything, carried it off. Well,
Right.
a week after that, I went back in and there's the bag. The bag's empty, folded in half with a rock on top, like under the tree. Like, they another kind of like a cute thing is I had put around Christmas time, not this past year, but the year before, I hung like a couple of Christmas balls on one of these branch, and I had attached it with this like sparkly ribbon, but nothing. Like they didn't do anything with it. It was there, and then after Christmas, I take it down. The next summer, so that was last summer. I'm like, wait a minute. All of a sudden, one of the bows from that is on the tree. It's like right at the end of the tree as I walk in. Like, how in the world did that get there? Because I know
Yeah.
it wasn't there. I mean, I have been in there. I was in there how many times, and I
Yeah.
would have noticed it. So that's a weird thing. And wait, there was one more that I'm trying to think of as far as that. Yeah, that's the other thing that I left that they were interested in was little teeny rubber duckies, like tiny little rubber duckies. And I put 3 on because I thought that'd be fun for the kids. Put 3 on this in this area, and one went missing. The other 2 sat there for weeks and then they were gone. So I don't know if if something else took them off, but I
Yeah.
don't know.
Did they give you something in exchange, Barb?
No, they didn't that time specifically, but they do like to, I feel like they have a signature kind of like glyph that they leave all over the place. And it looks kind of like a tic-tac-toe box. you know, a tic-tac-toe box, but then add like another box.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what that was for a long time. Then I realized one day I'm just filming and I'm like, oh my gosh, looking through the cedar trees, I'm seeing in, you know, in the formation of this tic-tac-toe box. And I don't know, did that mean that they, you know, watch me through that? I don't know. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Another thing around this was this past Christmas. I always cut down like cedar boughs and fir boughs and, you know, make decorations or whatever, you know, like garland. And there were no, like, I needed more of the fir trees. There's so much cedar, but, and I'm like, hey guys, if you want to just help me out, I need some more fir trees. So nothing happened. About a week later, huge fir branch like laying like right in front of our front porch. And then it kept happening. And then I kept finding these big branches. I'm like, that's okay. I don't need any more. I'm good. Now, you know, could be a coincidence, but it's just freaking weird.
That is weird. Yeah.
Asking for some chopped up firewood. This way you can have a bunch already done for you.
Yeah.
You'll wind up with these gigantic trees on your driveway. And
Yeah.
can't get in and out.
Yeah.
Gotta watch what you say with those people.
That's right. Yeah. One of the things that, you know, it's funny, the things that my husband is so like enthralled with, like, you know, evidence, was it was a big, huge branch. I mean, he and my son-in-law had to actually, you know, they were like dragging it, because when I say branch, you know, like a big, fat,
yeah.
And it was in an area of our backyard that, like, wait, how did that get there? There's no way. We didn't have any windstorm or anything like that. Like, how did that get there? He thought that was super unusual. He's like, I have absolutely no explanation for why that would be there, because it was so big and so large, and it wasn't like it fell and then rolled, because we do have a steep backyard. No, this was like, he said it was just like placed there. And he thought that was so cool. I'm like, well, okay, I'll give you that, but whatever. And one more thing, as far as like with him, one day he said to me, hey Barb, I didn't need, I wanted to leave that black, I forget what it was, like black plastic. I was gonna put that in the shed. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, no, you know the big roll of black plastic? I'm like, he said, well, you put it by the garage. I said, no, I didn't. Oh gosh. Then I was going to kind of yell at you for carrying it, because it's big and heavy. And he was doing something up in like the front of our house. Like, there's like you know, we've gardens and in a shed, and he had it laying up there, and I don't know if they were going to be helpful or what, but that was yeah.
Well, do you ever have any incidents of maybe mind speak between you and the Squatchies out there?
Yes. It's not a lot. I wish it was, but the first thing was, there is a big, I call him like the clan elder, and he's the first one that I was able to record, and I have so many recordings of him. I mean, I just absolutely, his voice is just like, oh my gosh, it's so deep. So it's that, like, when I'm listening through my headphones or my earbuds, like, I'm feeling, you know, it in my chest. It's that, like, ugh. And one night I'm laying in bed listening, and what I do is I watch the cameras through an app on my phone. So I'm watching, and I hear this, and I may even have been like not dozing off, but just like laying there, like with my eyes closed, and there's like this, which is him. And then in my mind, Mont, M-O-N-T, like flashed, like the words flashed. And so I didn't hear them, you know, it was just like, and then I'm like, and then it like flashed again, and it was like, what in the world? And then I said, wait a minute, Mont, is that your name? And it was,
wow.
So I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Then I waited about 10 minutes. I'm like, Mont, if that was you, could you do it again? But he did, of course. He's like, I'm not doing it again, sweetheart. No. Like, he never after that. So, but that was and then there was one more time, as far as that I saw the name, well, I heard the name Oscar, but I don't even know how to describe. Like, have you guys ever had mind speak? Do you know
No,
what I mean? It's
I
like,
I've had one incident when I saw my second Sasquatch where she saw the tip of my gun and she gave me a look, and the look read, "Go for your gun, see what happens." It was not. It wasn't
whoa,
mind. It wasn't mind speak, but I understood what she was trying to tell me through her eyes.
gotcha. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
you've had that other phenomenon happen to you though, where it knocks you down.
yeah,
Me?
Yeah,
Jay.
Jay. Yeah,
Yeah.
remember you were out there? It must have been about 3 years ago, and it knocked you to your knees and down and
Yeah,
out.
down and out. Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, and I've had that actually just had, I guess, a bad incident of that last night. That was so scary.
Yeah.
Um,
It is scary.
I I've had it, I've been hit with it, I guess. I don't know what it is, whatever it is, I don't know. Is it infrasound? Who knows? Whatever it is, it's definitely something.
hmm,
The first time it happened to me was right after I was grunted by one, the first one.
Right.
And I was backing up because I was like, what should I do? And I'm like, okay, no, I'm not going to continue. I'm just going to go home. And so I was hit with that, like completely disoriented, like dizzy, like, whoa. I can't say that
yeah,
I was nauseous, but I was so dizzy and I was so disoriented. Like, like, oh my gosh, like what? And then I'm thinking to myself, because I didn't know anything about, um, that people have this phenomena or the, potential infrasound. Had never heard of that. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, am I like having a stroke or something, or a heart attack? That's what all that I was, because it was so like just came on me.
Yeah,
Then
like
as
that.
yeah, yeah, like
Mhm.
but again, I've just been grunted at. So like I'm like, whoa, maybe it's the adrenaline, I mean that
Mhm.
could be. Um, but then the feeling left me almost as quick as it came on.
Yeah.
And I realized I wasn't walking back toward my house. I was walking like not the opposite way, but in a way that it is between my house is that way, but there's a deep ravine that I can't, And so I was like, oh my gosh, why am I walking this way? And then it's this complete disorientation. Like, what am I
Yep.
doing? And so
yeah,
then I turned to walk, to my house, and the feeling came on me again. And it was like,
Yeah.
oh no, like I don't want to be, I really felt like I was going to pass out, whatever. And I remember I just kept watching the roof line of one of our, it's like a pole barn or a, you know, carport, whatever. And I just kept watching that roof line and just like telling myself, walk toward that, just walk toward that, because I didn't want to just be there out in the woods. My family knew that I was out there, but who knows
right.
how long before they would come. And I don't know. I was just like, I
Right.
need to get there. And as soon as I got to the property line, there again, the feeling left. And I had no residual feelings like at all
Wow.
after that.
Yeah, Jay, that's what I was alluding to when you got hit by the infrasound.
Yeah, yeah. Same.
Mhm.
I was telling Barb, same type of symptoms. My equilibrium was off. I
Mm,
hit my knees, vomited, and I wasn't
Yeah.
right for hours and hours. But like
Yeah.
you said, Barb, I didn't have any residual effects the next day or the day after or anything. It ended
right.
that night.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, Barb, that they can experience infrasound for themselves if they go to a zoo, and like you can go to
Oh,
the
yeah.
tiger exhibit,
Yep.
Uh-huh.
and if you get the head tiger there, the biggest,
Mhm.
meanest one. And
Mhm.
I've been to the National Zoo in Washington,
Mhm.
D.C.,
Yeah.
and this 950-pound tiger, his name is George. We all got a little bit too close to the cage.
Oh.
He let it
Oh.
out, and I'm going to tell you,
Whoa.
it goes right through your chest, and it gives you
Whoa.
a chilling feeling. I mean,
Mhm.
you've
Mhm.
got 2-inch bars and holding them in there, but
Mhm.
a lot of people screamed, the guys especially,
Oh,
and
I
they were
know.
running away.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got he too close to the cage, and that's how you can experience infrasound.
Oh.
Now, evidently, Dogman puts it out. From what I've understood, Mothman has put it out. Sasquatch all the time, in many
Yeah.
instances, because they don't want people. I'm talking about Sasquatch. They don't
Uh-huh.
want people coming near their area. Maybe they've got
Yeah.
young over there, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
they
Yeah.
just
Mm-hmm.
made a kill.
I think I
Yeah.
interrupted a hunt that night. The night it happened to me, I
Mm-hmm.
definitely think I interrupted a hunt for many different
Mm-hmm.
reasons, and I think
Okay.
that's why he zapped me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
I had the feeling like the first time that with me that that first time after I got grunted at, because the grunt was not aggressive, but it was
right.
definitely not a bear, a dog, I mean, and I did feel that, like I said, I felt that it kind of through my chest, but I didn't have, the symptoms until like 30 seconds later. But I felt that there were just maybe little one, in hindsight, maybe just
Right.
little ones there, and they're like, "Do not
Yeah.
come any closer. We can't have her coming closer."
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I experienced it a second time to a little bit more of a higher degree, and it was weird because it was like I was on my front porch one night. I had taken our dog out, and we have to have we take him on a leash because I don't want him running into the woods. And
No.
yeah. And so plus he's like scared of them. So I taken him out and then I put him back in because I thought that I could see movement in the tree line.
Mhm.
And I was saying, like, are you, something, is anybody over there? And I kind of walked out like off the porch and I got that feeling of like, whoa, like a dread, like a negative. And I had nothing like that prior to that. I mean, nothing. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is cool. I hope I get to see one. But um, when I made it, like walked into the house and it was like, oh my gosh, I'm sick. And then that was the night that I was like throwing up. And my husband was like, Barb, I feel like I need to call an ambulance because I was so sick. And I'm like,
No.
no, just pray with me. Just pray. Let's let me alone. So that was for maybe like an hour or two. But then even though that after that like quickly left me, last night what happened much more was so weird and so like
Mhm.
violent. And I was so sick. I had sent photo of a print that we found. And it was funny because my husband and he's actually the one, the print guy. He's like, oh, that looks like a weird print. And I'm like, oh, so I put my foot up to it. And then when I'm taking a picture, then I realized that it's bigger than I thought it was.
Yeah.
And so he said, I was like, what do you think that? He was, I think it's about 12 inches, but we were just hiking. We were not, and we were right across the road from our house. We weren't, thinking like, let's go out and look for evidence. So
Right.
I said, well, when I came back in the house and I said, I'm going to run back over with the measuring tape and just take some more pictures and some measurements. He's like, okay. And I'm like, yeah, come looking for me if I don't come back. I got to the edge of the road and had this like whoosh feeling that I
Mm.
was so like I'm gonna throw up and I'm gonna pass out. So I quickly like turned and ran back into the house and I was like yelling, his name's Randy. I'm like, Randy, help me. And he's like, what's going on? And I just laid on the couch. And then he was trying to get me to like take honey, thinking if my blood or is your blood sugar too low? Like what's going on? And
Yeah.
he's like, you're scaring me. And I'm like, just let my and I was so weak. Like I couldn't do I like it was a terrible feeling. It was a bad feeling. I did feel like I was gonna vomit, but I didn't. I just basically just like let me lay here. He had, like a so dramatic, but like a whole compress on my head and the fan going because I was just like sweats rolling off of me and my heart was pounding. But probably 3 hours later, I don't want to say fine, but I was much better. Today I feel a
Better.
little bit, I don't feel like myself, but it's not, you know, if that were to be like a heart attack or a stroke, I would have had more, residual.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, and I don't know. So I don't know about that last night. I'm not sure. Was that something different? Was that Sasquatch? Was that something different? Because, like you said, Nick, I don't know if there's dogmen here. I don't
Right.
know.
Well,
Was
Dogman
that?
doesn't usually do that. They're straight up and up.
Oh,
Here I am. We're going to terrify you, and you better leave.
oh,
But I think you probably it's probably this. They didn't want you to come out and put something next to the footprint and take a picture of it.
oh,
Plain and simple. They just didn't want you to do it for some reason, which we don't know. And they got you to back off, but I think they zapped you a little bit too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sure did.
That's
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, think about it. Did you eat prior to that so your blood sugar was right? And
he was saying, oh, you didn't eat all afternoon. I'm like, yeah, but I had like a massive breakfast. Like I actually ate. I'm like, babe, I ate more today than I normally eat, like up until this point. And so I didn't buy the blood sugar thing. Yeah, I didn't. And plus the fact, like, it came on me so quick. That's what's weird. I was so excited. I'm like, woo, I can't wait to measure this footprint. This is really cool.
Right.
It's weird looking. And then boom, get to the road. Yeah. So
that was a little too quick, Barb, for blood sugar, because blood sugar is gradual, and little by little you're slowing down, and you want to sit down right there.
Is that what? All right.
Yeah. So you said you felt like you wanted to throw up. Oh.
Yeah, it was like instant, and more so like I felt like I was gonna pass out. Like you said, Jay, I was afraid I was gonna fall down. Like I was gonna fall down, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
I'm wondering whether it was just one of the other ones in your area that's not familiar with you, and they just zapped you and said, hey, get out of here.
Very strong possibility.
Yeah, it could be. Because I'm not familiar. We've been here off and on for 2 months, and I try, and I go, same thing at home when I'll walk along this path or I'm outside and I'll talk to them and I introduce myself and whatever, but they don't know me, like you said, and they probably just didn't want me near that footprint. I don't know.
That's it.
For whatever reason.
Yeah. Next time you put any trinkets out or anything and you notice they're gone or moved around, look around the area on the ground. You might find some prints. I mean, because something that heavy is going to leave at least a 1/4 inch print.
Yeah.
Because a man who's 200 pounds will leave about well, it depends on, of course, the surface. If it's hard packed
and that's the problem.
Yeah,
that's the problem, because it is literally like it's forest floor, and so I'm like, I gotta find a new place, but I'm not sure what to. And I don't know. I don't want to do too much of that anyway. So I like to, like, I'll play music or sit out on the deck and play music or something like that to kind of entertain, or I don't know, gift them with that instead of things that they obviously don't want.
Right.
So, yeah.
Just be careful leaving food out, because I had one. I don't know if you heard about it in the times that I've spoken on different interviews, but I had one where the lady thought it was dogmen, and when I went there with 2 of my guys about 1:30 in the morning, and it turned out to be a Bigfoot, a very, very large Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah.
The reason it was ripping up her property is because she was leaving apples every day.
Every day.
There was a very large tree stump. It was maybe 30 inches around, and it was cut down. The tree was cut down, but the stump was still there. She used to leave apples every day. Her parents got sick, and she went to their house for several days. She came back, and she had posts pulled out of the ground.
Oh my gosh.
This is in New York, where the frost line is 42 inches. Okay. And these 6x6 posts were pulled out of the ground.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry. I don't know too many things that could do that.
No.
Nobody's going to come on property just to, bust your chops. Her back porch, it was ripped apart and everything. And they evidently got mad because she wasn't leaving the apples anymore. So, she thought it was dogmen, but it wasn't. And she did get a picture. At nighttime, she got pictures, and we could see the eyes, and it was 15 feet off the ground.
Oh, whoa. Yeah. So that was a big one.
Yeah. And I know for a fact it wasn't an owl. It wasn't any kind of an animal, because there was no branches near the tree that we measured. And I was, I gave it over to Jay. I said, wait a minute, that's your area. You have it. But
wow.
I don't know if you ever spoke to her, Jay, but I mean,
I did. I did. She moved.
Oh, did she?
Yep.
I told her
She
it's
just
out of our purview. We handle dog men.
yeah, she couldn't take it anymore. She bounced.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you got to
you don't
stop
play if
moving
you have,
food.
well, yeah, but then how do you make the transition if you ticked it off, you know?
Well, I've
Oh,
got a few ways that I've spoken to people about. I don't know if they would like to do it or not, but you got to kind of dissuade them. And the way I would do that is the old-fashioned hot pepper powder. You leave that
mm.
in the area, so when they come
Oh,
to
geez.
visit, not only does it aggravate them,
Yeah, yeah,
but they're like, "Well, we don't want this," so they
yeah,
just move on.
yeah,
But yeah, you definitely don't want to do that. Gifting other things, that's fine, but
Yeah,
mm, yeah,
food, never, never,
yeah,
never, because they
because
will
yeah.
find you.
and what if you get taken an old lady, for example, a 90-year-old woman that's been leaving them food for 30 years, and she
Mm,
passes away. Someone else moves into
Yes.
that house, and they're wondering why
Uh-huh.
they've got 9-foot hairy monsters running around, pounding on the walls and screaming in the windows.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's what I
Yeah.
always say to people. Yeah,
yeah. I had one
because
lady call me up with a story very similar to that in Idaho, and they bought this land. There was like 40 acres of property that came with it. Wonderful house, and they wondered why we got it for so cheap.
yeah,
She found out why.
Oh,
She found out why.
whoa.
And they moved out like in 3 days after that, they were out.
Wow.
Not going to put up with that. She told her husband she was
Wow.
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a lot
I
to
had heard
handle.
I had heard an interview, I think it was Janice Carter
Hmm.
before I even knew that we had them. And that really struck me like, oh my gosh, like this is what they can do. This is how mad they get. Um, if you don't. So yeah, that's always been something that I've been really scared to do. Plus, I don't think it's not fair to them. They
No,
should be eating the junk that we for the junk that we
exactly.
eat.
Yeah,
And I and I mean I used to think of them more of an animal, like a wild animal. Don't feed a
I
wild
did.
animal.
I
It's
used
gonna
to
keep
too. Yep.
yeah, like now I obviously don't now, but I just
Yeah,
don't yeah, yeah, not a good idea.
Leave
yeah.
them, leave them some of the
There's
junk
way
food
more
that,
to them.
we eat, and they'll never come back then.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
You know,
They'll end up with
Fritos corn
diabetes,
chips, and
cavities. Yeah.
candy with red dye number 7, and
Yeah.
all that stuff
Yep.
that we're trying to get out of our food.
Yeah.
McDonald's hamburgers and fries. I mean,
Yeah.
we looking at that stuff saying, we're going to
Yeah.
someplace. That should dissuade. You laugh, but that should dissuade them.
Nope.
They
Yeah.
eat
Yeah.
natural
Yeah.
stuff. That's why they're not fat. That's why they're
Yeah.
all muscle.
They're all muscles and ripped. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
they eat meat, meat,
Yeah.
Yep.
fish. Do you have any water sources near you?
The Puget Sound, obviously, big one, saltwater, and then there's many, many little like streams that
No,
come
perfect.
down near
The
us. It
streams, yeah.
really is, and there's oh gosh, I don't even know how many acres, hundreds of acres of just heavy forest. I wonder if the people because the land that I were there very active on is is a neighboring property and it's held in a trust, like a forever trust,
Okay.
that
Yeah.
nothing is can be built on it. It's
Hmm.
very heavily guarded. They have cameras up at the entrance points. Everything's like posted. Um, I don't know. I don't the original owners are passed away, and so it's like there's a management company or manager that takes care of it now, and then the family, there's still houses and stuff on the property, so they'll come, and I believe some of them live there, but I don't want to ask anybody
No.
because I'm like I have permission to, yeah, sure, hike as much as you want, just be careful and whatever,
Yep.
and I don't accept permission, so, and I
Mm.
wouldn't want, I wouldn't, so I feel like it is the perfect spot
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
Now,
So
Barb, you said the DNR is
Sure.
an area there where they don't allow you on. Do you have any idea why?
no, I don't. It's Washington State DNR, and I don't know
Yeah.
because, and this is the community, that we purchased it that we're in now. Like I said, short-term rental house. So we're here just kind of doing some upgrades, you know, before we put it on the market, on the rental market, because it's like a like a vacation community right by the ocean. And really though, like what we like the most is the trails, and that's more our jam, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is, and I don't know why. I don't know why, but I mean it is posted everywhere. No trespassing, no
Is it
trespassing.
fenced in also or no?
It's not fenced in, but there are
Heavily posted.
there's big like gates, like big iron gates, and it's almost like they have natural barriers that they've created. So you really can't walk in because they have things pushed and then like just big holes. And I mean, I think I as far as like this area, it was a you know, like an area that they logged, but they logged too many times. They didn't take care. They didn't, when they replanted it, it wasn't done right. So just kind of destroyed the forest floor. So yeah, so I mean, you really can't even get onto it. But I love to, I want to take my binoculars out some night and just like kind of look in. But
yeah,
after last night, like now I'm
I don't blame you.
but I did see one, and I don't know. I think Jay, this has been after you and I talked. It was August 1st of 2023, and prior to that, this is at our house in on the Puget Sound, and prior to that, I noticed that they started to gather about dusk over the summer in the tree line. So you could you could see there like the silhouettes. And I was able to get some photos from the front yard looking back into it, but I thought, well, I'm going to see if I can go closer and walk. There's a gravel path between our house and the woods, and I was thinking I'm going to walk along that and just see. One night it was about 8 o'clock, and so I'm filming, and I couldn't see anything. Even on my phone, there was like, you know, there's nothing, because a lot of times I don't see them with my naked eye, but you'll see them, you know,
see
you
them
can
on
see
the
them
phone.
yeah, yeah, it's so bizarre, but there's nothing. So I'm like, okay, they're at the like the end of the path where I would then go to the right to walk up to our house. There's like steps up to the front porch. For some reason, I'm like, oh, there's this big bush hanging down over, kind of. I'm like, whatever. Stick my phone in there, and again, it's on this automatic setting, so it was adjusting to the light, and there sat Bigfoot, the Sasquatch. And it was like, it was up, kind of like it had its legs drawn up, but I think it was sitting a little like on a you know, a decline or whatever. And it was like this, so I could only see from the bridge, like from about here up. And when our eyes locked, it immediately went like that and put its head down.
Oh wow.
And it was probably about like maybe 6 feet 6 feet from me. And I'm gonna guess it was I'm just a guess, it was about 6-7 feet tall. I don't know. Like it was bigger than me, but not, you know, it wasn't like this massive thing. It wasn't.
So probably a young adolescent.
Yeah, that's what I think. And the thing that struck me, because I mean, I had seen them, like I said, I saw them before. I had never been this close to one.
Right.
And it looked just like Chewbacca. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was weird. I mean, I couldn't get over, like, now again, as far as the face, I could only see from the bridge of the head, but like, I mean, the head was like rounded, long hair. It, like I said, had its arms up like this, long hair hanging down. I don't recall. I guess yeah, you know, it happened. It was so quick, because then after I realized what I'm looking at and it puts its head down, I screamed and ran in the house, because I was like, I was not expecting that.
Right.
No,
Wow.
I don't know what if I would have, I don't know, I could have sat there and I don't know, probably got zapped with infrasound again. I don't know, but yeah, and I don't know. And I had my phone recording prior to that, but when I went into the bush, and so I'm seeing it through the camera, right? But it stopped, like the phone stopped recording. The phone like just stopped. And so yeah, I mean, and because when I got in the house and I'm telling my daughter, and she's like, oh my gosh, I go, I wonder if I got it on the record, like I got a recording of it. And I was like afraid to look for a few hours because I just was so like freaked out. Like now I'm really so glad. I feel so blessed that I saw it. But at that point, I was like scared. I don't know if I want to see this like again.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It's not an unusual occurrence.
Really?
By the way, it's not an unusual occurrence that the electronics are blacked out.
Not
if
at all.
Know you're recording.
Yes.
And they know.
There's just something about them that they can affect your, audio and visual recorders.
It's like with trail cameras too. I think they know damn well what trail cameras
they can see the infrared
they
light.
Can see the infrared a mile
lighting
away.
up the area. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they know it's set up for them, so they stay away.
Yep.
That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah, Jay, we hit the witching hour for filming time.
I know it. Unfortunately, that went very smooth.
This went fast, Barb. Wow.
Maybe we can have you back on at some point.
Yeah, I'd love that. I'd love that.
Okay, great.
I know I've kind of been like all over the board, but I just, that kind of just, that threw me for a loop last night. And I'm like, I think I should probably tell Jay about that.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. That was cool. That was very interesting. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that with me.
Of course.
Appreciate you coming on, Barb.
I'll just tell you one more thing. I think that I saw a dog man. We have a farm still in Pennsylvania. 110-acre farm that nobody's living on currently, but because my father-in-law lived on it and he's since passed away. And we were there in last fall. And I saw this, like, it was pretty, I don't even know. I can't tell you. Maybe 100 yards. So it was pretty far away. Okay. So, and I had my camera going and it just was there like looking at me, solid black. Then when I looked at the photos and the video, I'm like, ooh, that looks like, I mean, black snout, black ears. And then I showed it to some people and they're like, oh no, you probably did catch, that's a dog man. But I didn't have anything. I mean, it didn't.
Bipedal? I mean, was it standing up or?
I can't, there was like a big tree,
right?
That was like kind of like this, like, so it's horizontal and it was standing or whatever, like beyond that. Now, I don't know if it didn't behave like a dog. Okay. Because I feel like a dog, if they see a person, it literally just like watched me, like was there watching me.
Right.
And but was it maybe it was on its back, it's on its like front paws. I can't tell you anything. I didn't see it that well. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, Barb, on many occasions, I've taken teams up there to do some ground investigation to north central Pennsylvania. On many occasions over the past bunch of years when I was living in New Jersey, because I was very close. And I mean, I interviewed many people that have seen bipedal dogmen up in that area. So, I mean, I wouldn't put it past that being a dogman.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll have too many incidents of dogman where you are, though.
I don't know. I hope not. Do you think that you don't think that the dogmen and the Sasquatch, they don't hang? I
don't think they're like oil and vinegar. They don't mix.
I've heard
everything I've researched and all people I've spoken to over the years and all the books I've read. No, they don't mix. They don't like each other at all.
They don't play well together up here. As a matter of fact, the Squatch will leave until fall. They'll come back in April, leave in the fall time. And then when the winter hits, the dogmen come in. They stay totally away from each other up here.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, I remember you had told me that before, Jay. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But
Well,
yeah,
thanks
but
for
thank you
coming
guys
on.
for having me. Of
All
course.
right,
Yeah,
thanks for coming
anytime.
on again. I do appreciate it.
Yeah,
Of
we
course, of
do.
course.
All
We
right,
can
everyone
back
out
All right,
back.
you
there.
guys have a good night. Thanks so much.
You
Take
all have a
care.
good
too,
night
guys.
out there, and everybody stay safe. And remember, look
Thank
up.
you. I will. Thank you.
Thanks, bye.
Bye-bye.